Evening, I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. And pursuant to the amendment of Bill H3548 and Governor Healy signing such amendment into law in March of 2023, expressing certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Some guidelines we have for participants: please utilize the chat or raise hand function if you wish to address the board. Individuals will remain on mute until they've actually been addressed by the board, and participants are required to display their first and last names, please. All that said or read, by tradition, we will start with a roll call of present members, I should say. I am Brian Barabee.
Paul Branwell.
Jim Garrity.
Excellent. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability for 115 Wilder Road. I was going to say, Lauren, do we have an update from the applicant? I believe there was an email sent today.
Yep, they have requested a continuation up until the December 5th meeting.
Okay. And I was going to say, I know we had some questions that they were working on too. Commission members, any reason why we should not continue? Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? None. Lauren, what's our first available time on the 5th?
We can do 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock. I know you had said that. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for request for determination of applicability for 115 Wilder Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, December 5th at 7 o'clock p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right. We have a good 10 minutes. I know members of the Trails Committee are here. Do we want to try to discuss at least one of the two Trail Committee issues? I mean, I have the Rattlesnake Bridge replacement, and then the conversation on the Northbrook Trail proposal. If we could limit ourselves to the Rattlesnake Bridge replacement, I think it's something we could probably do in the next 10 minutes. Would that make sense?
Well, I wish I could. I really wish Drew was here, because really Drew has all the information. All I can tell you about the bridge.
I was going to say, Gordon, it's perfectly fine. We have this. We can always discuss it a little bit later. We can give Drew some more time. We just have a little gap. So I was trying to figure out if I wanted to get you guys in so you could get out if possible. But we can wait and see if Drew logs on in a bit.
Yeah, and Drew has a presentation, I believe, that talks about it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. We will cycle back to it.
Here and wait and eat my dinner or something like that.
Enjoy. All right. We can do minutes real quickly. Do commission members have a chance to look through the November 7th minutes? If so, any edits, corrections, changes? If not, does anybody need a little more time to read through the minutes? Looks like everybody's good with minutes. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our November 7th, 2023 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minute approval?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Just trying to see if I can give any updates. Once again, our final budget will be due relatively soon. Oh, Lauren, did we get any more clarification on that? I know you.
Yes.
Aha.
So I actually got an update on that today. So I just became aware that it's actually due this Monday, this upcoming
Okay.
Monday. So I do have some charts that I uploaded to the share file that I can share, but I don't think we have time right now to go over it. So maybe we can save that towards the end of the meeting, if that's all right with you.
That's perfectly fine. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I think it was in relatively good shape. We'll have to take another look at it to see where
Yeah.
everything is. But I know some of the things are kind of baked in where there'll be some will be level funded. We'll take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what else I had. As always, our land steward position still available, as our conservation commission positions. I don't have any updates on Century Mill Estates or 100 East End Road as far as the enforcement orders go. Those are still status quo as far as I know. We discussed the budget. Oh, and along with the budget, Lauren, our finalization for the draft wetland regulations due Monday as well.
No,
Or
those are
have
not.
been more
So
leeway?
I got a little bit more information about that. Not 100% clear on due dates, but I know that the town annual meeting is in May, the first Monday of May. And from what I've heard, the draft regulations need to be submitted by February 26th. So we do have some time
Okay.
submitted to the select board for the March 2nd meeting for their review. So there's a little bit of time on that.
Yeah. Which is a good reminder. If you haven't had a chance, commission members, feel free to look through them and kind of get your comments together. Again, I think we have them in pretty good shape as to where we wanted them, but we do have still have time for review. Oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed we could probably discuss the request for a certificate of compliance. For
I
70.
think we are waiting on some people. I think we're gonna have some people log on for this one. So, and I don't
Okay.
see their names.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I believe it's Amy Balowitz. But I
Okay.
don't see her just yet.
We can wait off on that. Oh, like I said, knock wood, this could be our holiday relatively short meeting. We do have a few things to discuss, but it looks like we're gonna have to give them each a few minutes.
Yeah.
See, Lauren, how is everything at town hall? Are you guys sure? Well, you're usually not there Friday. You guys around tomorrow?
So I will be in tomorrow. I know a few
Yeah.
people have the day off for, the holidays, but
Right.
yeah, I'm not usually there Friday. So, but we'll be closed for Thanksgiving, of course. Yeah.
Can I, while we have a minute or two, can I ask a question?
Gordon, please, yes.
Actually, Lauren knows about this. We walked into her office yesterday and invaded her. At some point, there was a discussion about buying a new brush hog. And I don't know whether this happened last year or whether Rebecca did something about it. But we had a confab with Don, and it turns out that there where we thought there was money in the budget, there is not. And I'm wondering if this is likely to come up for the budget for next year, because Don was saying we would have to add it in.
So Gordon, I actually just spoke with Don earlier today about the 2025 budget.
Yeah,
And he did say that we could include that in the
He did.
budget.
okay.
Yeah.
very good.
And I included it not in the sale price because we don't know if that's going to be on sale by the time you want to
No.
buy it. So I put out the full price.
They're about the one that Larry and I were looking at is on
Yeah.
sale for about $1,000 less than the
Yeah. At the moment.
yeah. I guess it's not the time of year for buying brush hogs, so maybe it's
Yeah, I guess keep that in mind for next year. I was, God, I wish we could shift things around in the budget too. But I know we're getting close on a number of things.
Yeah, and while we're at it, the question come up about where do we put it when we've got it. The one that already exists, I think, belongs to Concom, but it's a Gravelin. It's about 1,000 years old, and it runs for about 10 seconds and then dies, and it's really in very bad shape. Let's put it that way. And it has been kept in the old firehouse, which I believe is coming down at some point. So we would have to find a place to put any new equipment that we got, and I'm told that that's going to be a matter for negotiation with other parties, which might include the DPW and Parks and Rec and things like that. So I don't know. I have no suggestions. I'd just like to wave a flag. That's all.
It is a good reminder, and I do know this was a topic of conversation with Rebecca. Exactly what you had said, that it was trying to find the space, and that was, I think, the two thoughts was can DPW help us out with something or a location that's accessible to us.
Yeah.
I forget what was it not possible to use the container behind town hall?
Well, the container is pretty full at present, though there's
That's
some
right.
stuff in there that I don't think belongs to Concom. I don't know why it's there. Two air conditioners, for instance. And I get the feeling that sometimes people are looking for a way to lose things, and they put them in that container. And you might be able to get it in if we spent some time throwing out junk, but I'm not sure what's junk and what isn't. But those air conditioners don't look like they're Concom's.
I don't remember purchasing those. I'm not sure that we would have needed those.
Yeah.
And again, this is ringing a bell of conversations with Rebecca, because I thought it was one of those, if we could either use somebody else's space or get them to clear out what they have in our space, we should be fine. And it was determining, who that person or group was and how to approach them about it.
Okay. Well, the Gravelly has lived on a trailer parked at, I think, Bowers or behind a building at the DPW. I don't know if you uncovered with a tarp, which doesn't seem like a good solution, especially if you buy a new one. So I don't know if there's space somewhere where a shed could be installed. Put it in. You can buy one of those cheap plastic sheds at Lowe's or somewhere, and maybe that would work. I don't know. If you could find a space. So.
To say that's worth considering. And that might be one of our better solutions, but that would also be something we would need to make sure we throw into the budget.
Yeah, again, another flag being waved, so.
No, I appreciate them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Drew. He should be.
That's fine. We've actually hit the 7:15 mark, so we can actually take our next open our next hearing. So he still has more time.
I'll shut myself off then. So.
All right. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Excuse me. So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131. Section 40 and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a notice of intent filed for 36 East End Road. Lauren, are the applicants or reps for the applicants here tonight?
Yeah, we have Glenn Gleason on.
Hi, Mr. Gleason. How are you?
Hi, how are you? And this is my wife, Ann.
Hi.
Would you be let me try it again. Would you be able to give us a quick rundown of what it is you're proposing, kind of walk us through the plan, and I can ask Lauren, do you have the plans or anything that you could do a screen share with?
Sure, I can do that right now.
That would be excellent. So, Mr. Gleason, if you just give her a chance to pull up the plans and kind of walk us through what you're proposing.
Like every smart person, I'm gonna defer to my wife. She's actually she's pretty much running the show with this whole project, so she is much more well versed than I am in this. So I'm gonna let her take the lead here.
Yeah, you're a smart man. And so, Miss Gleason, if you could, when you have a chance, if you can kind of walk us through what is being proposed.
Certainly. So if you can see just at the the rear of the brick driveway, that is the existing garage. So what we are proposing is to the structure we've had looked at by our contractor, and it is not able to be saved without it really does need to be taken down. It's not structural. The structural integrity is not there. So what our plan would be is to demolish the current garage, expand it towards the home to the right. So as you see, there's a brick patio or a brick walkway leading to a side entrance. The garage would come closer to the home, and there would be sort of a farmer's porch connector there. We would be using sort of that little jog off to the left of the home is the current foundation for our sunroom. That foundation would remain. It would just be altering the pad for the garage.
Okay. And that area now currently existing lawn?
It's actually all brick. It's an all brick patio or brick walkway.
Right.
It's actually a little bit wider than it shows on the current plan. It's generally all brick really at that point.
Do you know the total increased square footage? Or have
I believe
Might
it is. The difference is the total square footage of the alteration is a little over 800 square feet.
Okay. Just trying to look, and I was trying to figure out, I'm not familiar with the property. Sometimes I'll have an idea, like I drive by or whatnot, that but just it looks like the wetlands are behind your house, behind the existing house. That's where it's coming off from, and you have riverfront area.
They are. So if you look towards the back, where the N is on John Scahan, that's sort of where the stars are, marks sort of the boundary of our proximity to the brook.
Gotcha.
And I should mention, I mean, there is zero plan to alter anything beyond the existing structure of the garage.
In that area. Okay. I think that's what I have for initial questions, but I'm going to open it up to the commission members. Do any commission members have any initial questions, thoughts, or comments? Not seeing any. Excuse me. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And again, not seeing any. So to the Gleasons, if possible, I'd kind of like to schedule a site visit. Oftentimes we'll come out onto site just to look and see where everything is planned out. If you can if there's any way you can kind of stake out or draw out where that addition's going to kind of go in, It basically will give us a chance to see what the offsets are to the riverfront, in this case, and the wetlands. Looking at what you're doing, I think it can be easily conditioned by us. But it's just one of those things we really would want a chance to see in the field and have everything marked out exactly where it was gonna go.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And other commission members, would that make sense to you as well?
Yes.
Yes, that would be good.
Okay. In that case, if it's fine with the Gleasons, I'm gonna continue your hearing to our next meeting. And then, I was to say, Lauren, if you're in tomorrow, Lauren will probably reach out tomorrow, and see if we can't set up a date that works for everybody to just get out there and take a look. We'd probably only need 20 minutes at some point one day,
Of
if,
course.
if that makes sense. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. In that case, and Lauren, are you fine with that? Are you able to,
Sure.
you-
Yep, I can
excellent.
reach out to you tomorrow.
All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing, for 36 East End Road, until our next public meeting, Tuesday, December 5th at 7:10 PM. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Paul? Paul, you fine with continuing?
Aye.
Thank you. Jim?
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well. All right, so we'll set that up and we'll try to get out there in the next week and a half or so.
Sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Lauren, I don't know, could you just, you said, you thought somebody might be stopping in tonight to talk about the certificate of compliance for 72 Golden Run?
I was under the impression someone would be, but I am not seeing any names that look familiar. Is there
Okay.
anyone here who would like to speak on this?
That's all right, we can always hold it over, give her more time, because I think we
Okay.
have more trail committee members now. And if you guys are good, Drew, if you and Gordon are good, we can go with Northbrook Trail or Rattlesnake Bridge replacement, whichever you would like to discuss first.
Is Kelly on? I probably should know this by looking at the participants, but I invited her, and I think she was talking about another international item. So why don't we start with Rattlesnake, if you don't mind?
That's fine.
Okay. Can someone share the presentation, or do you need me to pull it up? Because I hope someone can share.
I can pull it up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let me get out of here. Okay. Can you see this okay? I know.
Yeah,
it's
that's fine.
I can't zoom out anymore.
That's fine. Yeah, on this very southern end of this map that we're looking at, there's a bridge that's fallen to disrepair. It is right on the border of some Town of Bolton and Bolton Conservation Trust land. But I think my assumption is both parties would be favorable to replacing a broken bridge. So that is what I am proposing tonight, is just using our normal standard bridge that we have been bringing forth to the commission for the last few years now, to replace this one. And if you scroll down to the next page, kind of gives an overview of our standard bridge design. It's about 10 feet across, 36 inch wide, 4x6 pressure treated spanners, curbing on each end, and yeah, I guess I was hoping to get, just a discussion, not asking for any sort of decision, but yeah, I think we'd have to wait for Rebecca, unless you guys feel like it doesn't need any sort of filing.
I mean, I'll get Lauren and Jim and Paul's takes, but if
Yeah.
it's replacing an existing bridge with a bridge in the same format that is that we're using on a number of our trails already, I think that's something that we could simply approve by voice vote tonight.
Okay.
And again, it's somewhat of a safety issue. It probably should be done sooner rather than later. It's replacing something existing footprint, basically.
Yep.
That's how I would see it. Jim and Paul, I don't know if you guys would see it any differently.
No, that makes sense.
All right. So in that case, quickly, I think I'd like to call for a roll call vote of commission members to approve the replacement of the Rattlesnake, the bridge on the Rattlesnake Conservation Land as presented and discussed at this evening's meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. And then, Drew, did you want to get into Northbrook Trail, or do we want to, or did you want to wait for another person, or?
You know, I guess I'd rather just get it going. You know, it's
Sure.
I don't think Kelly necessarily needs to be here. It would be nice if she was, but I don't think it's required. And since
Okay.
for this one, I'm sure there's not going to be a decision made tonight. So on this one, the proposal is putting in a new trail and having a bridge, a single crossing. So the Oaks, there's a trail that we're opening this year, hopefully very soon, to the north, and this trail that we're proposing kind of connects that area to the Fifeshire Conservation Area, and it follows the Northbrook stream. We tried to make it so we're doing the least amount of impact as possible. So we're trying to use existing cart paths that are there now, going through the Taylor Kennedy property. A little bit to the north. Luckily, they are very favorable of this trail proposal and putting it in that private land. And it's basically an existing cart path now. And that connects up to basically a field that has been historically farmed by the Schultz family, even though the land is owned by the International. It seems like they do have some sort of crop there now. And it goes pretty close to that existing stream, you know, on the edge of the meadow, and then crosses at an existing culvert that is, you know, presumably historically there for, you know, farm equipment to get across. And then as it crosses that existing culvert, it kind of snakes into the woods. And then there is another, I'll call it intermittent stream. It's not always flowing, but I think it has been flowing. This year it's kind of, let's see, uphill from the stream a little bit, and then tries to keep a pretty flat contour all the way to Fifeshire Crossing Sawyer Road.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the trail was marked originally by Rebecca. I think it's, or at least the new part. That's not the how can I describe the part from the through the woods was adjusted by Rebecca, because the original plan was that the Conservation Trust had an easement for a trail along here, correct?
It's part of the CR that's held on the property.
Right.
CR that's held on the property. The actual CR is also owned by Conservation
Held by the trust.
as well. But because this was set with a sort of 50 feet either side of the brook, I think, or something like that. Betsy's next to me and she knows it well. That wasn't practical, basically. If you stayed 50 feet either side of the brook, you would probably get your feet wet, I think, just failing. So a lot of this has been moved to accommodate that, and also to accommodate a request from Justin Schultz, who is trying to start a tree farm or something. And so it was moved away up the hill. So that's just background information. Should you be interested in? And Rebecca flagged a lot of it.
Yeah, thank you. That was. And I just want to add to that. Yeah, the original conservation restriction. A lot of these are, you know, that they want to get the deal done for the golf course when it was originally when this conservation restriction was originally put in. So I don't know if they really took the time to map out a proper route. So even though it said, you know, 50 feet from the brook, that wasn't necessarily an optimal route to do. So there's, and luckily the Escalante group, the owner of that land, is favorable to our proposed trail as well, and acknowledging that that deal might have been rushed when it was originally put in.
So can I ask quickly now? Do we own the? Does the town own the restriction on that, or does the trust own the restriction on that?
The trust owns the restriction.
Okay.
And I guess this would go under a normal wetland filing, since this trail does fall within, you know, the boundaries.
Yeah, it would be jurisdictional to the commission. Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And especially a crossing, that would go.
Yeah.
Yep.
It would have to be NOI, and which we have filed before, and I know we've in the past, the commission has the ability to ask our agent, that being Rebecca, to actually prepare an NOI for something like this. And I know that's how we've handled some in the past. And I'm guessing we would probably go that route again, but I'm just trying to look at some of your other notes to see, trying to think where we could be helpful and where we would need to be involved, I guess.
Do you want me to scroll down a little bit more and show you some more of the slides?
Please. Standard bridge.
So yeah, same language for the bridge, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
How many bridges, Drew, are going to be required?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's not a replacement, it's a brand new one, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. The culvert is just, there's no change to the culvert as far as I know.
Correct. I wouldn't want to take that on.
No. And I appreciate that you mentioned Rebecca had walked and flagged the route, because usually that's one of the things too. We'd want either ourselves to go out there or Rebecca to go out there and double check the route, see if it makes sense and all of that stuff. And it seems like that's already been accomplished.
Yep.
So and I'll put it out to other commission members if they see anything that's really giving them pause. But from what I've seen, what's being proposed, and again, I really appreciate the ability to achieve connectivity, and I really appreciate Gordon and Betsy and their willingness to grant an easement there. I think it's a project that you should move forward on. I think would be able to condition, an NOI if it was submitted for it, for the stuff on our land. But I'll open it up to other commission members to see if you guys have any initial questions, thoughts, comments.
I like it. I have no further comments.
Noted.
Side information, the incomplete Bolton Loop Trail would probably need this. If you've ever noticed the sign saying Bolton Loop Trail, that's it only ever does the northern part of the town.
Right.
We're
bit of a
trying to
misnomer.
piece bits together that would connect the southern part of the town, and this is part of it.
No, it would be, I mean, I think it would be an excellent improvement. And again, I would love seeing that. Something I know people have been working towards for a while. Oh, I should ask as well, if there are any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And I'm not seeing any. Okay. In that case, so it's what I'm getting from other commission members is I think in general we are in favor of this project. We'd like to see it proceed. And I would imagine it's an NOI needs to be filed as opposed to an RDA, but I could be wrong about that. We can double check that. And let you know, but I think that would be the next step is to put the official filing in and go from there.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Certainly reach out if you have any other questions.
Absolutely, and thank you for all your work on this. It is appreciated.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
All right. What else? Oh, do we have a rep or someone here from the International to talk about looks like what might be a field amendment?
I see Paul McManus is
I was
here.
gonna say if you could let Paul in. Paul, how are you? Could you kind of walk us through what you're proposing? And Lauren, I don't know if you have something you can share, a screen you can share, or Paul, if you have something up.
I do, if you don't mind.
Not at all, please.
And while I'm doing that, I should introduce Michael Galvin, who's the superintendent at the International, is here, and it looks like Steve Alden, who's the general manager. I didn't think Steve was going to be able to make it, but apparently he is. So let me. Trying to make sure I'm looking at, oh, here we go. So that's your agenda. You don't need to see that.
I was gonna say,
All right, so you're looking at that? So,
yes.
as the commission knows, the International has an order of conditions to renovate the Pines Golf Course. Much of the work is actually done at this point. And all the grading's been done, all the seating, a lot of the seating is very well established. Not all of it is, so we're certainly not attempting to request a certificate of compliance at this point. One of the conditions in the order was that the International get a environmental monitor, which is me in this case. So I've been submitting monthly reports to the commission. I do weekly inspections of the whole site and then monthly reports to the commission. So a couple months ago, when I was out, I reported on an evaluation that we did on what I refer to as the Willow Pond, which is really the biggest pond on the site. It's west of the clubhouse. You can picture where the clubhouse is down the hill. There's a pond, there's a couple of massive willow trees next to it, if that rings a bell. So what basically I had reported to the commission is that at this point, shown on here, where I have area of evaluation, you can see there's an upgradient wetland and a long culvert that discharges to the west end of that pond. And what I investigated this area because there'd been an incident, if you remember, we had some really intense rainstorms over the summer. And one of those caused some sediment to get in this wetland here that you see down at the bottom of this image. That was cleaned up. There was a lot of pollen and whatnot in the pond at that time, so I couldn't really evaluate it. I went back and evaluated that as I had promised to do. And this is a view of that kind of that southwest corner of the pond. The culvert inlet is down to the lower right in this picture. And then you can see there's a channel through Wet Meadow. And then this picture at the bottom is a close-up of this area in the pond.
Yeah.
And you can see, excuse me, there's a lighter colored area here, which is some kind of fine sand and silt, mineral soil that is different from the much darker organic-y material that you would expect at the pond bottom. So I'm not sure the exact genesis of this material. My assumption is that it came at the period that I had described and reported to the commission. But basically where we're at is there's probably a couple of cubic yards of material here that dropped out, formed a little delta. And what we want to do is clean it up. And the proposal to clean it up is to go in and get a portable pump that would be staged in the upland, and attach a pump intake hose to a rigid pole, and then go out there and stand on the edge of the water with waders, literally suck out the material. You're going to take a lot of water with it as well, and then have the discharge and be up in a flat area off to out in this area out here, which is flat. We'd have a sediment collection area. This is a big grass area. There's all erosion controls here all around the pond. And so basically we want to go and just suck this material out and dewater it over here. The water, any water that's pumped will infiltrate through the grass, back into the pond. So it's actually pretty straightforward. It's not a huge task, but it is in the pond. We didn't want to just go do it, have the commission get a call. Hey, these guys are in the pond. Are they supposed to be in the pond? So that's really what we wanted to talk to you about. As I said, I'd reported it a couple months ago, but understandably with Rebecca's absence, I think the communications chain is not what it might be. So I saw Lauren at Town Hall the other day, and she was good enough to put me on the agenda so we could just talk to the commission about it.
Appreciate you coming in. I get, and I saw this come up on the agenda. I was just curious. I had read through some of the stuff, and I think what you're proposing makes sense. I can see why it would need to be done. It makes sense how you're proposing doing it. I thought everything could renaturalize fine after the fact. I guess my one question was, is this something that's going to happen on a regular basis? And I know we could say we had like ridiculous storms, and we did have some ridiculous storms, but like climate change is real. And we're going to have more and more of those ridiculous storms. Is this something we think is going to happen more so in the future? Is this something we can mitigate against? And I know maybe that's not something in the discussion tonight so much, but I'm just curious if that's something you've looked at.
No, I definitely have, and it's a fair question. I'm confident this will not happen again, because when it happens, this area down this area would be to the left of the lower corner of this photo. That hill goes up, and you may recall what happened is, you may recall that there was a pipe that brought it was just surface water, but brought surface water from way off to the west, to the left in this picture, that daylighted over here, and the commission and Rebecca in particular wanted that pipe taken out. So the International agreed to do that. While that was done necessarily as part of disconnecting that pipe as part of the development of a new golf hole over here. So what happened is they were putting in a big infiltration pit up at the top to infiltrate that water, that rather than having it just come down. This area was all open. They were in the midst of doing that, and we got 3 inches of rain in one day.
Yeah.
So at this point, the infiltration pit's in. This area is all seeded and growing. It's not fully robust grass yet, but it's very much grown in. So those circumstances, none of those circumstances, all of which came together, are going to occur again.
All
So,
right, that makes it a lot that makes it a lot more clear for me, because I was trying to figure that. I'm like, is this just going to be a regular thing? But I can understand where and when it fell within the construction plan. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm comfortable with what you were proposing, but I'm going to open it up to the commission members. Other commission members have comments, questions, thoughts about what's being proposed.
Looks good.
Any members of the public here this evening to comment on this particular hearing or this particular discussion? And again, not seeing any. You know, my guess, Paul, is we're probably we can kind of do a roll call vote, because that way you'll just have it as part of the public meeting of us agreeing with what has been proposed. So in that case, for Jim and Paul, I'm going to ask members of the commission for a roll call vote. Are we in agreement with the proposed plan to mitigate the sediment buildup in the Willow Pond at Escalante International? All those in favor say aye, starting with Paul.
I have to abstain.
Okay. Appreciate that. Jim?
Aye.
All right. And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
all right, thank you. I should have mentioned that as part of my proposal is that I would be there directly overseeing when this happens, and then obviously report back to the commission. So when it does happen, we'll let you know.
All right. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right. Take care.
You too. Oh, I should get to stop sharing. All right. Thanks.
Lauren.
Thanks, Michael.
Looks like.
What was that, Paul?
What's up? That was
Nothing,
Oh, I
just-
thought Paul was saying something to me.
Not me, thanks.
Okay.
All right, thanks for your help, though.
Have a good night.
You
Have
too.
a good night.
Sorry. I just looked through quickly. It looks like we have actually hit everything on the. Oh no, wait. The request for certificate of compliance for 72.
Yep. So I'm not seeing anyone present for this.
Okay.
So I sent you an email about what it was about. So it's about 2 order of conditions from 1992 and 1993. And the applicant was just seeking certificates of compliance for both of them.
Okay. I guess they're gonna move it. Okay. It's too bad they're not here, because I'd have to take a look at what it was they were supposed to have done.
Yeah.
It just basically it requires a site visit, which I know this was a lot of what we had Rebecca to do, but we might be able to pull that off amongst the 3 of us somehow, 4 of us somehow. But it would just be us reviewing what it is that needs to be signed off on, and then going out to take a look and make sure it's actually been done.
I think it's because they're trying to sell their house right now. So that's why they're trying to look for this. I went through our old files and I couldn't find the original notice of intent, but I did track down some old meeting minutes from 1992 and 1993.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw those in the share file at all.
I was wondering what those were. I didn't dig into those deeply. I was like, what is this? It's like, was this old minutes that we were approving? And I was like, these are really old minutes. Yeah.
So you have.
It looks like. What was
yeah,
that?
Lauren. So Lauren, you have the orders of conditions numbers, but no paperwork.
That's right. Yep.
How do we even know the numbers per se?
So let me just pull up here. I'll pull it up on my screen of what I have.
And isn't there like a 30 years later the limit of what's the word? It's like
Right. I know an order of
limitations.
conditions only lasts for 3 years before it expires.
Yeah, but it needs to get signed off on. Like if you never had it
Right.
signed off on. There they were. Yeah, I saw that when I opened it. I was like, minutes. I'm like, what does this have to do? And I didn't even think of it.
So the order of conditions, we have the file number up here. There's 2 of them in here. So this was the second one. Let me scroll down to the first one. I believe the first one was the building of a single family home. Let's see. Okay, so 170. So we have 170 and 178.
Okay.
I didn't see too much information in the order of what was being done. But in the meeting minutes, it said, okay, the plan was reviewed for 2 4.5 acre lots with access on Golden Run Road. Plans included a siltation fence, which will be used during construction of the driveway, which he would like to do as soon as possible. The utilities will be placed underground. Mr. McClure and a butter will do the excavating work. When sedimentation and erosion controls are in place, a site visit will be done by the commission, and Bob Sylvia will write up the order of conditions. So that's all I found on that.
Okay, yeah.
And then the second one, 178, this was
Yep.
less than a year later, maybe 6 months later in 1993. Said work on a corner of the house and grading work on the driveway are in the buffer zone. A berm will have to be constructed to inhibit rapid point source discharge runoff into the vernal pool. The hearing was closed, a vote was taken, and an order of conditions will be written and issued.
Okay. The only thing, so I was reading through those while you were reading through them too. I guess the only thing that we could really check on based on what we have in front of us would be the berm. Was a berm constructed? Is there issues there where it's being directed, whatever it's, if it's not being directed away from the wetland or to the wetland? But absent that, it's, you know, most of the things where erosion controls will be in place before they start, stuff like that. You know, I guess the one thing that we do like to see as part of a site visit is that erosion controls were removed. And as funny as that sounds for something that's from like 93, sometimes that is the issue. Sometimes you go out and people stuck those bales and you still see a half a bale rotting where it was stuck down 15 years ago. And you're like, oh, you got to get rid of these. So that, I mean, again, if we can set up a time in the next week or so for one of us to get out there, I can try to make time to get out there just to double check the berm, make sure the erosion controls are not in place anymore. Just kind of read through the general orders to make sure everything is as it seems. And then we would take it from there. I would imagine at the next meeting, we could vote to issue the order of conditions.
Or the certificate of compliance.
Certificate of compliance. Wow. Sorry. Yes. COC.
Yeah. Right.
If they are, looking for anything in the interim, I guess they will have this evening's public meeting. Or I guess what we're basically saying is we need to check and make sure the berm is in place. And that the erosion controls have been removed, and it looks like we'd be able to issue the order, the certificate of compliance without any issues, I would imagine.
So would that leave, would that mean we would do a continuation until after a site visit is done?
We actually don't need to continue the request for a COC.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
I'm just happy that you asked that because I had to do that for about 4 or 5 years straight. I'm like, so do we continue this? And
Yeah.
And Rebecca would be like, no, this isn't this. You
Yep.
don't have to continue this. You should do a roll call vote. Over time, I've learned some of them. So I was
Yeah.
happy. I actually knew that one.
It's a lot to learn.
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding. So that said, I think that's everything on the agenda for this evening.
The budget.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was trying to figure out what I was forgetting.
I think that's the only thing left.
Do you want to pull up what Dawn sent you, or do you want to walk us through what Dawn sent you?
Yeah, let me pull this up here. Okay.
So there are
Okay,
no cuts. That's a good start.
So, yeah, so as of now, it's a level funded budget, other than, we added the additional equipment funds for the brush hog mower that they were talking about earlier tonight for the Trails Committee, and also the wages being included. So everything's carried over from 2024, and you can see here the equipment was increased here.
Do we have actuals for 2024 yet, or no?
What was that?
Do we have actuals for 2024 against some of these line items?
What do you mean by that? Actuals. Oh, actuals of what was actually spent.
Yeah, on the
I haven't
2024
received
budget.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it's like
Um,
run rate to date. I mean, we're only 4 months into the year, right? So
Right. No, I don't have that tonight.
Okay. I was gonna say you'll probably find out on one of Rebecca's drives. It just kind of knocks things
Yeah.
down as we spend through, and some of it will have big line items still get chunked down at the end of the year, but it is a very good question to see how close we've come to this year's budget.
Yeah.
yeah, we had some. I mean, it's interesting. We had some nice increases from 23 to 24. You can see land maintenance and the capital improvement. So we are suggesting to continue that level. I don't remember if there was a one-time items or anything in that land maintenance.
See, that's what's getting. See, that's what I'm trying to remember. If part of
So
that was some of the work for Bower Springs. We were starting on the dam work for Bower Springs. That was going to have to be separate on its own, but I think we were contracting some of it. Contract work, mowing the fields. I know that went up, and that we
this
do
is-
have. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
this should actually say 20. Yeah, this should actually say 2024. So this is just copied over from 2024, but I think I was talking about it with the town administrator. So I think we wanted to get some feedback from the commission tonight to see if you might be aware of some of these updates that have been done. So like that land, let's see, the land maintenance you mentioned was a pretty big increase, and maybe that was because, let's see.
Yeah, one of it's a one-time expense.
Yeah. Increased by 9,800 for removal of woody vegetation along the dams at Bowers Springs. Do we know anything about that? If there's been an update on that?
I don't know, and that's what I was going to ask you. I'm not sure if that got contracted this year. I know Rebecca was looking to contract them. We had been in touch with them. It might be something they have done. I am just not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm guessing we would have received a bill. So somebody in town hall, I'm not sure who you could possibly ask, but somebody will know, because we would have received, they would have invoiced us.
Okay,
if
I'll have
they
to
had
check
done
on
it.
that.
But
'Cause
again,
that-
wouldn't this continue? I mean, our current year doesn't end until June, right? So it could
That's right.
still happen inside
Correct.
this fiscal year. So it's one of those things where if we get it done, it's covered in this year's budget. If we don't get it done, we will have to get it for next year's again. So it's sort of
Right.
like, how do you manage the timing too?
Yeah, we'll have to try to make sure we get it in this year.
And so,
Um,
I mean, this is conservative. I mean, this,
I know.
Yeah.
we
I
can
know.
submit this and say, yeah, if you take it, great, but it
Right.
may come back and ask us to trim it.
Yeah.
Well,
And it
it
might
does
be- it
say
might
there
be-
in bold at the bottom, that's a one-time expense, right? So if we ask for the same amount of money year over year, they might question that, but doesn't hurt to ask, I guess, right?
It was our hope for it to decrease this year. Because I think we were thinking about moving it around to other areas where, like I said, the brush hog will be like, even if we cut that one-time expense, if for whatever reason we don't spend the money this year, it will go into free cash. And I would think we would have a good argument for taking the money from free cash when and if, if the project was able, if we were able to do it a month into next fiscal year, I would think they would be open to that. But I know I thought our hope was that to kind of shift those. And again, I know that brush hog had come up in the past, that it's something Rebecca was looking at. I didn't even think about the storage for the brush hog, which might be something that we want to add on. But I think if we get rid of that 1 year expense, that might cover that brush hog, or at least a good chunk of that. And Rebecca was always good and good and bad. This is a public meeting, I can say this. So we're always asked to level fund the budget, and that's great. We're asked to level fund the budget. That doesn't mean that we have to level fund the budget. Every place I've ever worked for a lot of nonprofits, it's always like, oh, the budget has to go down, the budget has to remain the same. But no, sometimes you need to invest money in certain areas, and that's just that. But she has always been very good at, we've been trying to get the conservation fund going again. So we started with, putting $100 in there for 2 years, and then $200 in there for 2 years, and then $500 for 2 years, and then $1,000 for 2 years. And I was going to say we should bump it again this year to $1,500. It's nowhere close to where it's been historically. We've spent that money down pretty regularly on some pretty good land acquisition projects. And again, it's all very generational, where they'll tell us, people are quick to spend a bunch of money that got saved up from last generation and then not save money for next generation. And it's just, it's time for us to start putting money back in that fund. So that's what I'm probably going to propose that we bump. And again, Lauren, I'll take another close look at the budget, because I think if we cut that one-time expense out and shift that,
which was
that's that 16,840. Because I want to say that used to be, you can see the years before when it was about 7,000. I was going to say, it seemed to remember it being about $7,000 or $8,000 normally. And a number of that's Henderson Stryker and their land maintenance that they do for us, which generally we've been really happy with, they do some invasive species management. They do a lot of our like stream trimming, stuff like that. So they're relatively expensive, but they're also specialized in what they do. That's probably going to stay the same. Who knows if they will increase their prices, but I guess it'll stay right around that range. I'm just trying to look for anything else. Like I said, Rebecca was always really good. We're like, well, we're going to bump this by $500. And she was good at being, well, I can take $100 out of supplies and I can take $50 out of dues. But we've kind of cut a lot of those back to the bare minimum at this point. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much. That will be the big one. We'll be looking at land capital improvement and the land maintenance lines to see what, if anything, can be removed there. And then, like you said, Lauren, that's something we could use for the brush hog, kind of shift it into whatever we need for the brush hog. Maybe price out a shed quick, like you said, one of those plastic sheds or some sort of small unit like that. I don't know where we would put it if we would put it, but it makes sense if we're going to get the brush hog to get someplace to put it at the same time, or make sure we can protect the asset rather than buying it and sticking it out in the rain. Yeah, I know they need all by Monday. I will take a good look, of course, for the holiday weekend. You might need to email me on Monday and be like, hey, get your suggestions in, but I'll take a look. I'll see if I can't subtract that out and come up with something that makes sense. And then I might send it to you, Lauren, and ask you to forward it to Jim and Paul. And, we can all take a look. And same, Jim and Paul, if you have ideas or things you want to increase, decrease, if you can get them into Lauren, so we can kind of try to all give them a quick look on. So on Monday, we have something we're relatively happy with to pass on to town hall. And then regardless, we could make up whatever the heck numbers we wanted to. We'll still be going in front of not planning board, advisory board, and working through the budget with them. So it won't be final until we sit down with them and actually go through it line by line.
And I will also see if I can find the actuals, like you mentioned, for 2024.
That would be helpful. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss? All right, Lauren, you feeling okay about the budget? Where we're going?
Yeah,
with it?
if we can do that, I can send you an email. I'll send an email reminder tomorrow and then a follow-up on Monday too.
That sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
All right. Commission members, anybody have any new business or anything that they want to discuss that we have not already discussed this evening? Not seeing any. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a lovely weekend, holiday time, friends, family, food, all that good stuff, health. And we will see you in December. So I'd like to make a motion that we officially adjourn the Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul. If we still have Paul. I'm not sure if we lost Paul or not. But I think we can close it with 2 out of 3. If we can close it via majority.
Okay. I'm
All right.
an I, Brian.
All right, Jim, you're an I, and Lauren, I'm an I as well.
Okay.
All right. Once again, happy Thanksgiving. Great seeing you both.
You too.
We will
Happy
see you in a couple
Thanksgiving.
weeks, not before.
Take
All
care.
right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Yep.